We are recording. Wow, computer says I'm ready. I'm ready for this too. Okay. So I like it's March the 6th or 7th. And tonight or today we're going to talk about meridians, ahimsa, and somatic meditation, as I said in the class that came out on Friday or Saturday, whatever the case may be. And I like how Madeline's come for a repeater, because it takes time for these teachings to kind of sink in. You know, I don't know about you guys. I lately, every time I read a book that I've read before, I think, have I actually ever read this before? It feels like it's going in for the first time. So I think it's useful to repeat material. So here we are in what we're calling Meridian March, and these the meridians and clearing the meridian channels and what we're doing here in somatic meditation, they're very closely intertwined. So I'm going to try and bring all these three things together in this talk. And I think I'm going to mute participants so I don't get this. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. So a meridian is an energy highway in your body, and energy or prana flows through your meridians or your energy highway, and as it does that, it accesses all parts of your body. And when your meridians are blocked, then you're going to experience physical or mental, emotional, or energetic dis-ease. But when they're open, prana or energy can flow through them, and that allows you to have connection with your emotions, connection with your thoughts, connections with your spirit. It allows you to have less pain in your body, and it allows you to connect with your true self, those you're in relationship with, and also the earth that you inhabit. So as we were talking about in the class that we did this past week that came out on Friday or Saturday, the class on ahimsa, and we talked about violence all day long, we tend to act in sometimes subtle ways and sometimes not so subtle ways, aggressively against our experience. So we're kind of constantly in conflict with ourselves. And, you know, let me just, Maria, do you mind me using there's an example? Okay. You don't even know what example I'm going to use, but so okay. Earlier, Maria and I were talking about how she read, she was reading Jack Kornfield's A Path with Heart, which is going to be our next book for the book club, which Maria is going to be running as Alice retires from that, and Maria is going to take the torch. And she was reading how Jack Kornfield suggested that you, maybe I should unmute you so you can. He was saying, what was he saying, Maria? You should look back and see the good you've done, or?
No, he had a reflection. I think it was based on because we're all going to die, right? In that one section, and looking back at our life, thinking back of two good things that we've done in our lives, and reflect back on them. That's where I came from with that.
Right. So Maria was looking back for two good things that she'd done in her life, and she couldn't come up with anything, right? And this is like, you know, and we've all been there, right? Oh man, I haven't done anything. We've had those days, right? Our mind is like that. This is like one of those subtle forms of aggression, right? Not being able to connect with our basic goodness to see that we are good, that we do good. And this is one of those ways that we create those layers of tension in our body. You know, we escape from our experience, we escape from our basic goodness. So we know from the somatic meditation that tensing our body is a way of avoiding our experience. And Maria's example, which is a good one, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative experience. There's just this level of discomfort in our ego where we shut down physically or psychologically. We shut down the experience and we turn off our awareness, right? So there's some sort of turning away. I can't find. No, when I reflect back on my whole life, I can't possibly find two good things that I've done, right? So, and this contraction and tension in our body and holding on, it keeps us connected to our small sense of self, right? Which, like, this is why this example of Maria's is so good. So as we do this somatic meditation, we relax our physical bodies, we release the tension, and our small sense of self begins to release as well. We become less paranoid and rigid, right? I'm willing to wager that if we were to ask Maria that question at the end of a somatic meditation, she might have an easier go of reflecting and finding some good that she'd done. So this kind of violence shows up in our social, our emotional, our behavioral, our cognitive, and our moral lives. It's a reflection of our own inner conflict, right? Whether that inner conflict be like the example that I've used with Maria, with in the way the inner critic shows up. And in our somatic meditation, we connect with our body and we discover where we're holding on, and then we can relax and let go. We discover the resistance, we discover the holding on and the tension in our body, and we allow it to release. And it's really easy to become tense and frightened by the unexpected things in our lives, the loss, the disappointment, the insecurity, aging, death. We fight against our life. We run from pain. We grasp at security and pleasure. And as much as ahimsa means nonviolence, in our day-to-day experience of life, we fight against our life in every dimension of our experience, inner and outer. And this creates those layers of tension in our body that further numbs our awareness and clear seeing. So this morning I used this Madeline provided a great example for me, because when she came on, she had her video she was really, really fuzzy. And somebody said, well, Madeline, maybe your lens is just dirty. And so she just went, and she wiped it all off, and all of a sudden she became clear, right? And so this is what we're talking about here too, right? Is that our lens, our filter of the world is unclear, and that with the meditation, we're just basically doing this. We're clearing our vision so that we can see clearly. We can see clearly, like, yes, we are inherently good people. We do good things in the world, and that when we can clear the energy channels and have free flow. There was an interesting book that got brought up in Jack Kornfield's A Path with Heart called When Society Becomes an Addict. It's by Anne Wilson Schaaf. And she says, when you're fully alive, you're constantly saying no to many of the processes of society, whether it be racism, the polluted environment, the nuclear threat, the arms race, drinking unsafe water, eating carcinogenic foods. So all these things that we're seeing going on, we're saying no to it. And so she says it's in the interest of our society to promote the things that take the edge off, that keep us busy with our fixes and keep us slightly numbed out and zombie-like. And I think that's pretty accurate. And unless you have access to something like this, where you're learning tools to be able to open to clear seeing and release tension and have the support of a community, then yeah, of course you have to stay addicted to busy, slightly numbed out, whether that numbing be with consumerism or watching television, staying plugged into social, like whatever it is. it's the only way that you can cope, right? So one of our most pervasive addictions, and we had some really interesting discussion around this morning, is around our addiction to speed and technology, social media, computers, our engagement in the way that the speed at which media and computers work. They really, just the 24/7 of it all, pushes us to increase our pace of productivity and our engagement, and just in the entire pace of our lives. And the whole thing is going at a much faster pace than our nervous systems can process. And with this, we comes a level of expectation, right? There's always new content to scroll through. Things load up at a flick of a switch. If we don't like something, we can flip off over to something else, right? We don't have to stay with anything for any length of time. There's so much content out there that we can just jump from one thing to the other. But then we take that brain, that mind, those habits with us to our yoga practice, to our meditation practice. And that addiction to speed, that addiction to jumping from one thing to another comes with us. And then we have unrealistic expectations of our meditation practice. We expect them to unfold quickly. We expect to have insights and realization and relaxation, to be free of pain as quickly as you can take a pill and be rid of a headache. We expect to have those quick fixes in the same way that other things are being delivered to us in our culture. And then when we don't, we get frustrated, right? We think something is wrong with us. But it's not like that with meditation. It's not like that with our yoga practice. We are going to arrive at a direct, intuitive experience, our own understanding of the way things are, beyond words, beyond images, beyond a soundbite, when our own being, when our own body is ready, right? Not when we think it's time, not when we push to receive it, but when we're open, when we're relaxed, when it's time on our karmic path too, right? And none of us know when that is. So through our whole somatic meditation, we're learning practical tips for stopping the war, stopping the violence. And we lie down on our mats and we learn how to do this in a very systematic way. We release tension from our body over and over and over again until ahimsa becomes our way of being. Because we all have inner peace at the center of our being. And when we remove the layers of tension that prevent us from accessing the tension, just like I told you how Madeline just, cleaned the camera today, then we come in direct contact with that inner peace. We come in direct contact with that gentleness and tenderness and kindness. And it brings peace to your whole inner world. It brings peace to your whole outer world. And let me tell you, it's not willpower that's going to stop that violence within. It's not like you can, employ your inner critic, say, come on over here, little missy, we've got a project to do. Get those bootstraps pulled up because this is going to be a good one. You are going to need to get out a particularly strong whip and you're going to make me good. You're gonna, this is probably going to be like about a year-long project. And every time you see that I'm not good, you're going to just really let me have it. Right? Because that kind of aggressive patterning isn't going to change anything. So even if your intention is like, okay, I'm going to be the most positive, good person ever. Guess what? That's just going to layer on those patterns of aggression in your body and add more layers of tension. It just keeps the war alive. Because, okay, hear me when I say you already have inner peace. You already are inner peace, right? You already are gentle. You already are kind. You already are tender. You already are love. This is the nature of you being. You can't help but to be anything like that. There's nothing you have to do to get there. So we're doing the practices, and you're releasing the tension. You're letting go of the battle wounds, and as you do this, you're going to start to access it. But here's the part, as my teacher Neil would say, they don't put in the brochure. As you start to clear the blockages along the meridian channels, and sometimes you're going to encounter pain before you experience the free flow of energy, right? You're first, it's like when we talked about this with the fascia, right? As you start, at first you release it, oh, it feels so good, right? Oh, it feels so good. And then you start getting into those deeper layers, and that gunk starts to come forward, right? You start to encounter your pain, your desire, your grief, your loss, your hopes, your fears, everything that you've been running from, everything that's been held in your body, your loneliness, your unworthiness, your boredom, your shame, your unfulfilled desires. So one way that my teacher Neil says that I think is like super simple and like makes it's such a great analogy is that when your legs numb, you know, when your foot goes to sleep and it starts to wake up, it doesn't feel good first, right? It's actually quite unpleasant when it first starts to wake up. But you don't go, oh, no, go back to sleep. It's just the process that it goes through as it starts to wake up. And you do this again and again and again. So this is the process of finding that flow, recognizing the violence that's there. And it's not your true state. It's not really who you are. It's the mud on the camera. It's like the true reflection. It's not accurately reflecting who you truly are, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to just do a little reflection here. So feel your connection to the earth. Close your eyes. Lengthen up to your spine. Lengthen up to the back of your head. And just take a moment or two here to rest and be in your posture, be in your body. And then let your attention gently settle on your breath in your belly. And rest with your breath. And then reflect on your own life. And how these teachings and these words show up in your own life. And then come into your body. Just be in your body. And notice any ongoing struggle that you might have with your body. And then become aware of your emotions. Bringing awareness to all the inner wars against your feelings, all the ways you wall off loneliness, fear, confusion, grief, anger. Just sense the struggle that you wage against opening fully to your emotional landscape. Notice the struggles in your thoughts as well. Be aware of how you've carried on the inner battles. Notice the inner armies, the inner dictators, the inner fortifications. Be aware that you have fought within yourself and how long you have perpetuated the conflict. So gently and with openness, allow each of these experiences, your reflection on your life, your presence with your body, your awareness of your emotions, your struggles with your thoughts. Allow all of them to be present. Simply noticing each one in turn with interest and kind attention. Opening to whatever you experience. Notice without fighting. Just be present. Allowing it to be as it is. Feel your connection with your breath. Feel the support of the earth underneath you. And when you feel ready, you can come back. So what I'll give you space for now is to introduce yourselves, and in your own time when you feel ready, and to either reflect on the talk if you wish, or on your experience with that short meditation, and then we'll regather after that for meditation.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie from Victoria in Australia. I found that short meditation really relaxing, and you could actually stay there when you're like, come back to your body. I was like, if I don't go back now, I'm not going to go back. And it was interesting that sort of awareness of your awareness in your body that you get lying down is starting to transfer now into like any position, which was lovely. And it was interesting when you were getting us to look at our emotional landscape. Just before we came in today, I'd spent 10 minutes with the horse, and it's a windy day here today. So when it's windy, he doesn't particularly like the wind, but he was very jumpy today. He was, just looking around, jumpy, nervous. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I didn't feel particularly jumpy or nervous. And they say that animals reflect how you're feeling. But when we were actually doing that seated meditation and I was watching my emotional landscape as a detached observer, I could see that emotional jumpiness in myself. So that was really interesting, because if you just said to me 20 minutes ago, how are you feeling today, I wouldn't have said that. and to actually look at it and see what was arising in the body. Yeah. So it's, yeah, it's lovely. I feel very peaceful now. And I'm looking forward to, once everyone's introduced themselves, just to lie down and see what happens, as Michelle says.
It's interesting, given that spaciousness, what can show up versus, what we think is present.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Very different. Mm.
Full class, I felt fine. And that was really raw, that experience.
Mm.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, so again, I think it's the pace of our lives, right? That, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and it creates this kind of boundary around which everything is okay, right? And I'm moving forward and everything's good, and if I just keep going, everything's fine, right? But when we actually sit down and check in and open things up and create a container of space, the reality is actually maybe fine, or maybe not. I was saying this morning in the class, and I've posted about it on the forum as well, was one awareness that I've been having recently is how much I do this in my life, right? Okay, the next thing is in this amount of time, so you have this amount of time to do the dishes, right? Like 3 minutes. Well, that's not enough time to do the dishes, but I'll get it done or whatever, right? But that creates the tension in the body because I'm giving myself like this amount of time to do a job that takes this amount of time, right? And so starting to realize that I'm not giving myself an adequate enough space to complete tasks. And this is creating a lot of tension for me. And what happens when I give myself more space? Well, there's an opportunity for there to be a little less tension. So this, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we can give ourselves this spaciousness in our life too, right? Because I think the feedback is, help, I'm actually, something's happening in here, right? Yeah.
I noticed two things. One is I'm aware of gratitude, and that's something I work on. But in the meditation, I noticed I'm also dealing with anger. So something I'm grateful for, I'm also angry at.
Yeah.
And I can easily focus on half of that. The other half is kind of like hidden from me, but I act on it. So my actions show me that I'm feeling angry. I don't know if that makes sense. The other thing I noticed is I'm in a cool room. I'm usually under a blanket in this room. Very warm during that meditation. I'm literally slightly sweating. And that was like, well, hot seat maybe? I don't know. I'm cool again.
So one thing we were really kind of, one thing I was really focusing on this morning with this morning's group was that, gratitude is who you are, right? It's not something you have to work at. And that was what naturally arose. Like anger is going to come too. It's natural, normal, but that gratitude, you don't have to work at being grateful. Your heart is naturally grateful. It's part of the standard operating procedure that is Betsy. It's always there. Yeah. So Nancy's also saying, this is really interesting. And she says she loves ×3, the laying down meditations. And she thought she was not a good candidate for seated meditation, but that really worked for her just now, to be able to let go pretty quickly. And she thinks that the laying down meditation is finally transferring to seated or any position now. So she thinks that maybe there's hope for her in the future. Now, here's the thing. Like, yes, absolutely. We practice the laying down position because it is easier to access. The gravity works on your body. It's easier to let go. And you're accessing like your infant state then. And so you don't have all your adulting going on there, right? And look at what you're all discovering too. You can do it in your adult mode too. Like you come so far, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is important to be able to do it in both ways. I know I tease you guys, right? You can come up against the tough stuff. You're like, hold on. Let me lay down here.
Sorry. I'm Maria from Harrison, New Jersey. I found that sitting down today, I can really feel some of what I felt laying down usually. Very much at peace, very much centered, which I usually, and I've been working with, I have another meditation cushion now. So when I sit on it, and sometimes I do the seated meditate, the part where we sit, I feel more comfortable and I'm able to find a position where I'm very comfortable. And sitting down today, it felt very much at peace. Felt really good. I did feel a lot of stuff on the inside. Emotionally was like I'm fighting a war within myself today, I think. But it was present, and I acknowledged it and let it go. So it was really peaceful. It was good.
Yeah, and I think that's really beautiful when we can do that for ourselves, to acknowledge that the war is raging.
Yeah.
And be present for ourselves in that way, rather than say, well, this shouldn't be happening. You just need to get over it. And, like,
no, usually I do fight against it, and that's why I'm stuck in my head sometimes. But today, I know, because we spoke about it, so it's in my head. So when I confronted it, it was just like, okay, it's there.
Yeah,
it's fine, and just let it go. So
yeah, and that's when you hold yourself like a tender baby, right? It wouldn't, if you it's like, that's when the tender baby is crying, and you wouldn't say, oh, for God's sakes, just stop, right? You would hold the baby, and you would coddle the baby, and you would look after the baby, and, oh dear, what's wrong? What can we do? How can we make this better, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, but we do confront a lot of emotional tension and pain by just blocking it away. And I've done that all my life. I mean, that's how I was brought up. I mean, you block it out, you continue, you just keep on going, blah, 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 and smile and keep on going. But now it's just like, oh, okay, it is there. And we just have to let that go, or just, not acknowledge it and let it go.
Acknowledge it, yeah. And be just like the pain in the big toe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like asking Betty Bootstraps to come over and get the whip out, and then you've just gone, whoosh, and you've added that whole extra layer, right?
It's true. It's true. And I'm finding like sitting down, it's also, sometimes I notice that I'm starting to get in a little pain, but I acknowledge it and I'm breathing through it, and it does let go. It really does. You just have to say, all right, it is there, and just breathe through it, and it does go away. So I'm finding that a lot very helpful too. So that's good.
Hi, Nikki.
Hello. So I'm in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, and your teachings were really came to my heart today. Like I feel like I'm in that place that you were describing. Both places, like places where you just try to keep on going, and also when you just stop and let yourself be, and you face what you need to face. Usually, because yesterday I had an experience where I teach yoga Sunday mornings, which I always find is very nourishing for me to do. And there's a new class after my class now, and I wanted to go to that class to see what the teacher was like, and see if I could learn some things from her, and also to do some yoga practice. And it was a long class. I didn't realize it was a 75-minute class. And my plan was to go into my classroom, and I usually go on Sunday afternoons for 2 or 3 hours, and I get everything ready for the week, because I find it's quieter then, and I can get things done, and then I feel more relaxed through the rest of the week because I'm not rushing around. So that was my plan, was after the morning of yoga to go there. I came home, I had lunch, and I sat on the couch, and I felt really sleepy. And I thought, well, I'll just lay down here for a few minutes. And I woke up, and it was 2.5 hours later. So I know I needed that sleep. And in the past, I probably would have panicked and thought, oh no, Monday's just going to be crazy. It's going to be really stressful. I would have started all that chain of thinking because I didn't get into work. But, perhaps because of this meditation class and the 3 jewels and all of that, I thought, oh, well, I couldn't make it into school today. It is what it is, and I'll do what I can from home. And I didn't stress about it. And I went to school today, and nothing horrible happened from me taking that time. And I found that I wasn't stressed when I got to work. I was still, saying to myself, oh, well, I'll just see what goes on today. And I'm learning that I have to approach my students the same way. Because like any job, there's a lot of pressure to do this, and this, and make sure you do this every day, and this has to happen. But I'm realizing that I have to be realistic, and I have to be sensitive to the energy that the children come to school with, So some days maybe we're not going to do our science lesson that I had planned. Maybe some days we're just going to play some soothing music together and just, detox all as a group kind of thing.
So I hope you all can hear what Nikki's saying and hear the parallel in your life, because what she's saying is so, so important. So I'll just kind of take a step back and translate it in a kind of universal way. What she's saying is that when she gives herself the spaciousness, when she really connects with the value of who she is and sees herself as worthy and good, and so she's connecting with her basic goodness, essentially, right? It's then effortlessly she's able to do that, see that in other people, right? And so then it just flows. There's the meridian channels again, right? So they're clear for her, and then there's that clear connection in relationship too. She sees her goodness, and then she can't help but that just extends outwards to other people. But did you see how it happened for her first? There was no effort going out. It wasn't like, I have to be a better teacher, I have to be there for the students, it was only in the self-nurturing and self-reflection and self-care that came.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Like, just hearing you say it back to me, it just makes it feel like even more profound. It's one thing when I'm considering it, but I appreciate your putting it into words so that I can hear it too.
Oh yeah, and I think that's why we have to. That's why we have to have class every week. Right? It's not okay. Now we're done. Good. Have a good life, everybody. It's like you have to do it again and again and again. Otherwise, you're just okay. This is how you meditate. See ya. Get enlightened, everybody. I mean, sit down and breathe. And bam, the whole world would be enlightened. Doesn't work like that, does it? I don't know if you have noticed that yet. You need the teachings too.
And the other thing, I'll try not to take up a lot of time, but the other thing that what you spoke of really resonated for me was, you have to face the pain, or it's better for us to face the pain, even if it's really scary to do so. And someone in our family passed away just a few years ago, and he told himself he was just a positive person, but he never wanted to talk about things that hurt too much. And he had a lot of things that he had survived that were very hurtful. Anyway, so he had a terminal illness, and in his words, he was just being very positive. So he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about what he wanted for his passing or any of those things. But it didn't make it any less painful. And his passing was really, really difficult because that part of his brain that was still trying to be positive didn't want to accept that he was dying. Mm-hmm. So he never had that moment of clarity where he could actually be present with his loved ones around him, because his whole body was still fighting. And so even as we spoke with him, we couldn't say, you've given us so much and thank you. We're so fortunate to have had you in our lives. We had to speak to him as if he was going to get well. So that was difficult for his loved ones. And it was a really hard passing. It was very difficult to watch somebody that we loved so much not be able to let go, Mm-hmm. So that's what I thought of when you talked about we have to turn and face the pain. And, your foot doesn't feel good when the blood comes rushing back through it when it's been asleep. It's hard, but you have to go through the hard stuff.
It's all the experiences, right? The 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. And we can, it's not in denying the pain that we experience more joy, but in opening to all of it, we experience all of it. You all know it's okay to cry about these things, right?
I'm sorry for the.
You don't need to apologize, because these are emotions that you've held back in the past, right? And that's part of the walling off. So if you want to lie down. And if the tears are there, the tears are there. The tears are a beautiful release. So let's, why don't you lie down and we'll do some meditation, but keep letting yourself be open to what's present. So you're going to make yourself feel comfortable on the ground. Lying on your backs with your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. Feeling the support of the earth underneath you. And just for a moment, rest in your body. Notice what sensations are present in your body. Letting go of all the projects right now, even the releasing tension project right now. We're just gonna feel into your body. Noticing what's present in your body. We'll just move through it. We'll move through it fairly. Just kind of scan and notice what's present in your feet, in your shins and your calves, in your upper legs and your buttocks, in your mid-back, your shoulders, your chest, your elbows, your forearms, your hands, your head, your face. So we're not trying to do anything about anything right now, just noticing what's present. Noticing where you're holding back. And surrendering again and again and again. Feeling the support of the earth underneath you. Knowing that you don't have to hold on anymore. That just by taking this position on the ground, you can let go. So begin with your feet. Breathe into all the pores of your toes. Notice what sensations are there. It doesn't matter how much or how little is there for you. You're just opening your awareness more and more to whatever sensations are present. Feeling the bottoms of the toes, the sides, the tops, the hardness of the toenails, the toe bones. Allowing whatever discomfort or achiness or pain is present in your toes. Remembering you have infinite time to allow the sensation to come forward. You're breathing into your toes, all 5 toes. And there's nothing to do, nowhere to get to. And just the process of breathing into the toes and noticing the tension, you'll notice that there's a natural process of relaxing and letting go that begins to happen. The energy starts to let go into the earth. And sometimes you may find that there's a big letting go. Sometimes it might feel like it hardly lets go at all. But there is a gradual letting go that's taking place, and you can follow the release down and into the earth. And however much it lets go, whether it's a little or a lot, it's perfect for today. And then you're going to come into the ball of your foot behind all your toes, feeling the tension in the ball of your foot. And then feel how that tension begins to shift and change. So nothing stays one way forever. Things are constantly changing and shifting and evolving, just like the tension in your feet starts to release and let go. And then come to the arch of your foot, breathing into the arch of your foot, feeling the tension release from the arch of your foot. And then the heel, feeling the tension in the heel. Feeling that tension dissolving and melting down into the earth. And then the band of tension along the outside of the foot. So now you're going to include your heel and your ankles. Let the tension of your heels and your ankles flow down through your feet and into the earth. Feeling your shin bone. Feeling the tension in your shin bone. Feeling it slide down through your lower leg, through your feet and into the earth. And then your calf muscle. Just letting everything go, releasing tension down into the earth. So really there's nothing you need to do, because although you're bringing your conscious awareness to this process, it's actually the earth drawing tension down into herself. And then bring your awareness to your buttocks on either side. Feel their connection to the earth, breathing. Allow them to settle. Feel the tension. Feeling that access point to the earth coming into your perineum. Feeling the tension in the perineum. Feel the holding on. Allow that tension to come forward. Coming up to the pubic bone. And follow the tension in the pubic bone all the way around to the bones of the pelvic cavity. Releasing the tension through your pelvic bowl, through the sides of your pelvis, down and into the earth. Feeling the tension in your upper leg bones, the quads and the hamstrings. And then feeling that tension dissolve down through your upper legs, through your buttocks, and into the earth. Feeling the point of connection at the base of your sternum, the base of your ribs. Breathing into your lower lungs. Feel that connection with the earth. And then allow your awareness to go into the internal space of your rib cage, the lungs, the fascial connections, the space between the ribs. Feel all the tension in the internal thoracic area in your body. And then just release and let that energy sink down through the layers, through your mid-back, behind the breastbone, into the earth. And then you're feeling your connection with your shoulder blades on the ground. And follow the connection through your shoulder blades. Just notice the tension in behind the shoulder blades and then up through all the layers, up through the layers to your collarbones, up through the layers of the chest cavity to your shoulders. Notice all the tension, all the holding on through those layers from behind the shoulder blades up through your upper chest. And when it feels ready, just let the tension dissolve and release down through all those layers, through your shoulder blades and into the earth. Feel your elbows heavy on the ground. Come back to your shoulders. Notice any holding in your shoulders. Feel any tension in your shoulders. And let that slide down through your upper bones, up your arm bones, through your elbows and into the earth. And then become aware of the tension in your fingers, the joints of your fingers, your palms, the backs of your hands, your forearms. Just spend some time allowing that tension to come forward. Being with the tension and then allowing it to dissolve and float down through your forearms, through your elbows, and into the earth. And then finally coming to your head. The space between your teeth, your tongue is floating in your mouth. Notice the tension around your eyes, your forehead, your eye socket, the skin on your face, your lips. Your nasal cavity, your brain, let the tension dissolve down through the back of your head, through the earth, into the ground. Let the back of your throat relax completely. And then come back to your body as a whole. Scanning your body as a whole, notice anywhere that you're holding on. Notice any other places that you're holding back, where you could release and relax and let go. Know that you can surrender, dissolve, melt, let go in these places too. And then allow yourself to just be. So nothing to do, just be in the stillness. In your body's natural state of relaxation. Feel your breath. Feel the support of the earth underneath you. And bring this state of somatic relaxation, your natural state, allow it to come with you as you start to gather yourself up, moving slowly, taking your time, slowly rolling to one side, pausing on your side. And then slowly making your way up to seated, back to your seats. Okay. So we have some space for. I love this part of class when your identities have been washed away a bit. We have some space for questions or reflections or about your practice or to date or whenever you can listen to.
I was touched by Nikki's comments, and that set a little bit of a tone when I started into the meditation. By the time I got to my heels, I was having a lot of release of tears. Then that went away. And normally I have a tendency to kind of float either down or up when I'm trying to relax into my body. I seemed very grounded on the ground tonight, sunk grounded into it. And at one point I had the sensation of being wrapped like in, you've got to remember I'm a biologist, so I have a lot of animal imagery, wrapped with the like wings of a bat. And I don't know if they were my wings or a bat wing or just the material of that, but the very thin skin between the fingers of the bat's skeleton. It was a very comfortable way to be wrapped. And visualization usually kicks in pretty early for me. It didn't kick in until we got all the way to the head. And you know, I'm just seeing waves and patterns, not actual pictures. But it was a very grounded meditation today, which I probably needed.
I like the bat cocoon.
It's very nice. Wasn't scary at all.
No.
A cuddle.
been a bit of a tear fest the whole way through. But I found myself just being able to be held in that really safe, loving kind of space. And just the realization that that's me.
Mhm.
This is not the day to wear non-waterproof mascara.
But yes, that's you. It's a beautiful awareness. Marlon, do you think I should read what I read this morning too
Yes.
from my journal?
Yes.
Yes. We'll get it. This is to me what Michelle was saying. And this is I'm taking a course right now, and this is from a reading I was doing in the course, and I liked it so much I put washi tape down my page with little hearts on it. That's how much I liked it when I wrote it down. So the way this passage starts, it's describing what the heart of a Buddha is. It says we all have the heart of a Buddha. So if the word Buddha doesn't kind of work for you, just like put in whatever you need to put in, okay? Don't get tripped up on that part, because this is beautiful. So this is, we all have the heart of a Buddha. And the way Chogyam Rinpoche is describing it, he says, our Buddha hearts, they have these genes. Every single one of us. We're all supplied with these genes of the Buddha heart. And they contain gentleness. They're ever so loving, he says. And this lovingness goes way beyond being kind. These genes are extremely tender. And they're capable of reflecting themselves even to those who don't want to relate to us, to them, to our hearts. Right? This is what Nikki's example of, being able to be present, right? When she's connected to her Buddha heart, she's able to reflect that out into the world. They're absolutely free from any aggression. They're soft and kind. They're full of humor and delight. And when you have the genes of the Buddha heart, you're cheerful. Right? Because nothing to be worried about. We all have these genes. And that's the recognition that Michelle's having. That Betsy had too earlier. Become standard in all human beings.
It's good to know.
It is good to know. I'll keep reminding you.
Thank you. I guess it's an emotional meditation today.
Yeah, whenever I get off the call, Tim says, "Did you make them cry today?" I said, "Oh, they love it." He's always worried for you, though, just so you know.
Coming back is fine.
What's that, Michelle?
We keep coming back.
That's what I said, too.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you could see me sometimes when I do like a class, like something like Shiva Let's Go Little by Little, that class.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, if somebody walked in on me when I was in that class, they'd be like, what are you doing? Stop that video.
Oh God.
That is the most gorgeous love story of all time, I swear it.
And I shouldn't have brought it up because that's amazing. My God.
Yeah. Because you know what brings you back is that you want to keep connecting to that, right? To your truth. Yeah. So, did anybody else want to check in before we say goodbye for this week?
This is just a story, but you've made me think of it. This week I was buying secondhand from a garage sale, an ergonomic chair. And when we got there, the person selling the ergonomic chair, I'm sure was a yogi. I do not know her. She's a complete stranger, but she just had that vibe. So we're standing there looking at the chair and I'm making it quick and efficient for her. And I said, is there anything you want to tell me about it? And she looked at me like, what would I have to say to you about the chair? And I'm looking at her like, you're yogi, don't you have something you want to say? She tells me how to tighten the screws. I still love the encounter and I love the chair. And apparently you have to tighten the screws from time to time.
But you thought there was more.
I was looking for something like, I don't know, like in the conversations here, but I'm a perfect stranger. She doesn't even know I do yoga. So she was like, oh, man, just take the chair. It's all right. My husband's standing back like,
I know you do yoga. Tell me everything.
It's the chair of enlightenment.
Pardon?
Is this the chair of enlightenment?
Oh, that's great.
In the house now. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure as always, everybody. And I will see you on the forum this week. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in person next week. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.